Like many people my age, Goosebumps was a pivotal part of my childhood, so I thought it would be fun to take a look back at the classic series from R.L. Stine. That's 62 books in this famous series, and it all starts with Goosebumps number 1, Welcome to Dead House. Before we get started, as always, viewer beware, there will be spoilers ahead. I know, it doesn't really rhyme. Welcome to Dead House starts with the family exploring an old house that the dad inherited from some uncle of his. He doesn't know who the uncle was, but the house is too good to pass up. With the decision made, the family, which consists of Mom, Dad, Josh, and Amanda, pack up their belongings and move to Dark Falls. Josh is kind of a brat and he doesn't really want to move, but Amanda is excited enough. Upon pulling up to the new house, Amanda looks out from her car window and sees a young boy in one of the upstairs windows. This really is the first paranormal incident that kicks off the whole story. She tries to tell her parents about him, but they brush her off, mainly because they're too distracted by the movers who are bringing in their belongings, all while it's raining. Amanda is getting a sense that her new house might be haunted. This is supported by the fact that the family dog, Petey, won't stop barking. He barks at the realtor showing the family around, a man named Compton Dawes, and pretty much he's barking at everything at this point. In the initial chaos, Petey escapes. The family searches for him and they find him in a graveyard nearby. On her first night in the new house, Amanda has a pretty graphic nightmare. In it, Amanda and her family are all dead, their faces are gone, and their skulls are exposed. They're all sitting around the table eating these bowls of bones. I'm not really sure what the visual is here, but generally it's kind of creepy. I was actually fairly surprised by the violent nature of this dream in this book, especially since it's for such a young audience. I guess I don't really remember things like this in the books as I think back. I do think this scene did a good job, though, creating a spooky atmosphere. The next morning, Amanda is downstairs eating breakfast, and her parents tell her and her brother that they need to spend the day exploring the neighborhood. They want them to go find kids their age and have fun. She agrees and moves to go upstairs. However, when she reaches the stairs, she sees a young girl standing on the landing above. Amanda goes upstairs to find her, but she doesn't have any luck. The girl's gone. Amanda and Josh leave, taking Petey with them. On their walk, the siblings are surprised by the fact that there's literally no one in the entire neighborhood. They just kind of chalk it up to, strange neighborhood. As they walk, Amanda and Josh encounter a young boy named Ray Thurston. Petey hates Ray. He's barking and growling just like he did with Mr. Dawes. Josh has to keep him restrained pretty much the whole time they're talking with him. Ray tells the siblings about the other kids at this school. Amanda and Josh follow him and they meet a whole group of kids their age. The group plays a game of softball and all is well. Even though the kids kind of scare Amanda a bit at this point, they circle her and I think it's implied that they're going to harm them. During the game, though, the cloudy skies begin to open up and let some light in. All the other kids in the neighborhood seem to be pretty frightened by the sudden change in weather, though. They tell the siblings that they need to go and they quickly begin to leave. Amanda and Josh realize that Petey, who they tied up to the fence because he was acting violent, has again escaped. The siblings search the area and fail to find him. They race back home to tell their parents what happened. Back at the house, Mom and Dad are preparing to leave for a party with other adults in the neighborhood. I guess they're trying to make friends too, so they say they can't really help Amanda and Josh search for the missing Petey. They tell the kids that they'll go search in the morning. Honestly, in this book though, it seems like no one really cares about Petey at all. He's constantly escaping and the parents just don't care. Since the kids can't do much else, Amanda and Josh just pretty much go to sleep. Later in the night, Josh sneaks into Amanda's room though and tries to wake her up. She's confused, but Josh says that he thinks he knows where Petey's run off to. And it's pretty easy to guess that he thinks Petey went to the graveyard because that's where he ran off earlier in the book. He has a flashlight with him and asks Amanda if she wants to come with him to search the graveyard. She agrees and the siblings leave the house. Remember, it's like midnight at this point. Outside is very dark and the pair are interested to find that none of the streetlights around their house are on. They begin to walk to the graveyard and once again, they run into Ray. They tell him where they're going and he says that they can't go there. He's pretty adamant about this. Adam and Josh ignore his warnings though and they go to the graveyard anyways. He follows along kind of nervously. Once in the graveyard, the siblings are looking for the dog. While searching, they find this large amphitheater built into the ground with this huge tree covering the top of it, kind of blocking it from where the sun would be coming in if it was daylight. They also find Petey, but he stinks really bad. And I don't really need to tell you where this is going, so. Also, while hunting for the dog, Amanda sees several tombstones, all with the names of the kids they had been playing softball with earlier in the day, one of which includes Ray's name. Ray confronts Amanda, telling her that it was his job to watch her until the time came. It's not immediately clear what he means by this, but, it's not good things. He tells her that the dog is dead, which honestly I hate. He also tells her that everyone in this town has lived in her house at one point before they too were killed. At this point, his eyes start glowing this reddish color and he moves in to attack her. He's kind of floating over her, all vampire-like. Before Ray's able to hurt Amanda though, Josh rushes in and saves his sister. He shines his flashlight on Ray, which burns his skin and causes him to kind of melt away. Josh helps Amanda escape the area and Ray dies. And the siblings then race home. Again, this book has some surprisingly intense scenes, and there's still a few more to come. The siblings get home finally and find that their parents are still gone. Around this time, Mr. Dawes, the realtor, shows up and says that he's happy he made it in time. Again, he's being a little vague too. But he does tell the kids that they need to leave. He claims to know where their parents are and he says he can take them to them. And for some reason, the kids trust him and hop in this car with a stranger and drive away. Mr. Dawes drives them to the graveyard. The group walk through the graveyard towards the amphitheater that they found earlier. Josh finds another tombstone, but this time it has the name of Compton Dawes on it. Mr. Dawes stops the whole charade and explains to the kids what's really happening here. He tells the story of a plastic factory that had an accident on the edge of town. After the accident, this yellow smoke spilled from the building and crept across the entire town, killing everybody and leaving them as undead ghost-like things. It's really hard to tell what these things are. They're either ghosts or zombies or vampire-type things. They're just undead. Amanda and Josh are able to escape Mr. Dawes and hide amongst the tombstones. The sun is rising pretty quickly at this point, so Mr. Dawes can't chase them anymore, since the light will kill him. We've established this earlier with Ray. While hiding though, Amanda and Josh see lines of townspeople entering the amphitheater. They creep closer and closer and see their parents are tied up in front of the entire ghostly crowd. The siblings are hiding behind that large tree that we talked about that was hanging over the amphitheater, and Amanda gets this idea that she should push it over. They slam against the tree, and it cracks and splinters and eventually falls. I'm not really sure how they do that, but it does fall. Light fills the amphitheater and burns the townspeople alive. Or not alive, I'm not really sure how that works. However it works though, this is another one of those really graphic scenes. The sun doesn't just kill the people, instead it melts them away. Their skin falls off, their eyeballs fall out, and finally everybody's kind of reduced to these piles of ashes. Amanda and Josh manage to rescue their parents, and they race back home. The family quickly packs up and leaves Dead House. This time they're heading back to their original house, which luckily they haven't sold yet. As the family is leaving, another family is pulling up to the house to look at it. Amanda swears she sees Mr. Dawes give them the tour. But he's supposed to be dead, right? So she doesn't really know. That's kind of the twist of this book. Well, this wraps up this retro recap of the first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House. Overall, I think it was just alright. Honestly, I know there's much better Goosebump books out there, so I'm not too worried about reading the rest of these. But I do think the start of the series was just a little weak. The premise of the haunting was interesting. I like the concept of a haunted town rather than a simple haunted house. I also really like the idea of the factory accident, destroying this entire town. I found that pretty fascinating. It was really like Silent Hill. I would have loved to learn more about the yellow smoke and how people reacted to it at the time. When things were happening, the story was good, really. But there's just so many moments though in this story where there isn't anything of real substance happening at all. I know this is a middle grade book, but I do think there could have been more done with the characters. There's this entire ghost town of Dark Falls. All we really see of it though is the schoolyard, a graveyard, and a couple streets. On a brighter note though, I did really enjoy the characters of this book. They felt authentic for what it was. I also thought the ending was kind of brutal and exciting. It kept me interested. Even though this is far from my favorite Goosebumps book, I would still recommend it for anyone that's, curious or wants to experience a little of that nostalgia from reading these old books again. Well, with that being said, I give Goosebumps number 1, Welcome to Dead House, a 1 on the scary meter. Honestly, it's just not that scary. And a 2 on the bloody meter. Honestly, there's no real blood in this book, but a combination of Amanda's dreams and the face-melting finale might be enough to gross some people out. Well, I've said my bit. Let me hear yours in the comments below. And I will see you all next time.